So just to get started, firstly our recap of the 12.0 release. The really important feature for that was display content from other home pages. It's so important, I actually want to show you how that works today, because I think that went out and not many people picked up on what that meant and the scale of that change. It started off with just files, folders and links, but we've now expanded that into lots of other modules such as the image gallery and images in 12.5. It was such a successful feature in the way it changed the way we thought about home pages and the way content was ordered. So I'm just going to quickly break out of this and show you our demo, just to give you an idea of how this works. So I'm just on one of our demonstration pages here, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can import content from a third-party source. And the reason this is really important is that we had lots of teachers saying to us, every year I have to upload my content, and then I get a fresh class page every year and it changes and I have to re-upload all my content again. So we wanted to give teachers a way that they could store content centrally, they could work on content centrally and collaborate on content centrally, and then make that content accessible and available through their class pages. So what we did was we gave them the ability to add multiple files components into their home page. So I can actually add the files, and you can see here it's currently listing the files from my home page. And I can actually add it again. So now I have two files components. What this allows you to do is, at the moment it's just duplicate content, which is not much use to anyone, but I can actually, through the settings, I can select an alternate source for this content, and I can browse through the departments, and I can access the content in a department area. Maybe it's all the units of work or all the curriculum for that particular department on that year level, that course, and make that instantly available through this. So I'm going to select Shakespeare in Love. It doesn't apply to this subject, but for the example, so by selecting that and updating it, I now have a list of all the Shakespeare in Love files coming through on my class page. So this feature applies not just to files, but to folders and links, and in an upcoming update to images and a whole lot of other things. So you can do things like with the image gallery, you can have multiple image galleries on a page. With the image carousel, people keep going, can I organize my images and have different images in different image carousels? You're able to do that now as well using this feature. All you need to do is create subfolders and put the content into the subfolders. Teachers often say, am I able to create multiple files components with different titles on them? So here they're both called files, but I can update this and call this Shakespeare. And now I have a list of files for Shakespeare. And of course you could use that for Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and block up all of your different content from all your different courses. And of course, as a teacher, you can control when that content's available. You can say, I don't want this content to be available this week, and then bring it all in next week and make that available when you feel like it's necessary for the course, and take it away, of course, when it's no longer necessary. Taking away that component doesn't delete any of the content, it stays there. And so next year when you come in to do the same unit, you can then bring that content back into the page and you haven't had to upload it again. The other reason this is a powerful feature is that if I want to upload a file now to Shakespeare and I click Post File here, it actually uploads it to all the classes that have those files on it. So I'm now not having to go to all my class pages and post that file. I can just post it to the central area and it becomes available on all my class pages immediately. So that was a really important part of 12.0 that a lot of people may not have quite got around. No, we haven't gone that far yet. It's been one of those things that we've been thinking about that, how we do that, and that idea that Colin talked about earlier about keeping it simple. It's one of those struggles that we have is, do we make it really advanced for the power users so they can plan their whole year and things are coming in and out at different times, and it would just get too complicated for a lot of teachers. So what we've done is just kept it simple. Teacher adds that component in, deletes it. The students see exactly what the teacher sees, and that's the beauty of it. So there's not a planning function as such, but it does make it very simple for the majority of teachers to use. Yep. So yeah, it's really important. If you want to use it as a central curriculum resource, it's really important that you have that background file structure set up so that all these department pages and all the areas where the teachers can upload content centrally are available for them too. So the question was specifically related to, can I make components on the homepage appear at certain times, which you can't do, but what you can set work to be due on certain dates, you can set tests to be done on certain times.
To be there but open at this.
Exactly. So you can do all of that, but you can't go and plan how your page will look on any certain time. What you see here is pretty much what we recommend in our demo system, which is we have the classes set up, broken into year levels, and then we have a departments area where we set up the curriculum departments, and then under that, their year levels. That's pretty much our recommended, but we recognise that every school is different. Every school has a different structure, so that's sort of our recommended. That's shared content, because obviously that content there I've just brought through onto a student page. If the students don't have permission to access that content, they won't see it. So that's another important part of this, is that those folders need to be accessible to the students so they can actually access that content when the teacher makes it available. Yeah. So that stops them from browsing into it without the teacher actually bringing it in, which is a good way to go about it as well. Yeah, so my strategy is always a bit more open than not. I don't like to put lots of permissions on the file system. The less the better, I think. So it just means that the system gets out of people's way and people can do what they need to do, which is teach. So the less permissions, the better. All right, just going back to my recap. The other major feature we've done is markbook grade types. Now what this has meant is that we can actually normalize the data behind the submission system. Previously we just accepted an input field and you could put whatever you wanted in there. It could be NA, it could be ABS, or it could be 50, it could be 100, and we had no way of knowing what that actually meant in terms of reporting context, and that made it difficult when we were importing that data into other reporting systems and all sorts of other issues. So what we've done is we've actually put mark types that can be configured by the school and allow you to actually put in grades that mean something. And that gets normalized out into a normalized value. That was important for us as well because we're moving towards a continuous reporting space where we're going to have things like more grades being available, grade averages across classes, grade cards for students to see longitudinal assessments across criteria, and giving students a lot more insight into how they're performing based on their assessments within the learning management system. So that was the first step for us to get those normalized results in and make that data actually usable in terms of analytics for us. We also added a few new dashboard components. Those new dashboard components were the activity feed and the due work and submission, student staff submission boxes. So we added those feeds in so that we could bring in more information into the dashboard, so students were able to see across all of their subjects. They'd get notifications when people posted news into their class page or a file was added to a class page. We had the What's New feature, but the activity feed's slightly different. What's New shows you what's changed on pages since you last visited. Activity feed works like Facebook, where it's a constant running feed of everything that's changed. We've gone ahead and improved that quite a bit in this latest update as well, which I'll get to in a second. Final point there I've got is WebDev access. Now I announced WebDev access last year, last update 12.0, and it didn't happen. Lots of schools have got outstanding support requests for me to get that installed. What did happen there was that we had issues integrating with AD and the authentication system for WebDev in Windows. So a whole lot of things combined together to make it very difficult. We've since resolved those issues and we now have that all sorted out. So if you've got AD and you've got and you want to have WebDev access, we can now sort that out. The way we do it is we store the password. We have to store the password. When they log into AD, we have to now store a hash of the password in our database. It was just to do with the authentication mechanisms, but we've now worked around that conflict of all the systems. So if you need WebDev, let us know. Sure. So WebDev is a bit of a new platform for us. What it gives you is the ability to actually treat Schoolbox as a drive, as a disk drive on your computer. You're able to do things like mount the Schoolbox file system as a drive. That means you'll be able to open files and edit them in your Office Outlook, for example. You'll be able to save directly to Schoolbox from Office. So it gives you all of that functionality. It also is the basis for a new pathway for us to support iPads. Publishing from iPads has been very difficult, and I know a lot of schools are investigating iPads at the moment. And WebDev gives us the ability to actually read files and post files to Schoolbox from iPads. We're going to extend WebDev access. At the moment, it is just access to the file system in Schoolbox, but it will be extended to include the submission system, which will mean that as students, you'll be able to see all your submission boxes and submit via WebDev. You'll also, as a teacher, be able to open up all your student submissions via WebDev, track changes, comment in the file like we were talking about before, and then just save it in Office, and it will automatically be returned to the student through Schoolbox as well. So WebDev is a really important feature. A lot of technical stuff behind it, and it's very difficult to get working, as I found out in the last update. But it is sort of a good future for us to see tighter integration between applications like Office and applications on iPads, and having them write directly into Schoolbox rather than using the browser to upload files, which is often very tricky. So all they'll need is the URL for the WebDev of Schoolbox, which might be something like portaldav.winona.nsw.edu or something like that. They'll type that in, and then it will bring up all the files within, as if I was looking at the resource browser in Schoolbox. It'll bring them all up as files and folders, and you'll be able to then browse to a folder that you have permission to write to and press save, and then save it into that folder. So it's directly from a video application or from a Pages or any other application that supports WebDev saving. There is no other option currently in terms of widespread support for file publishing within applications. There's just nothing else that's a standard that's accessible across as many platforms as possible. Dropbox is using WebDev, believe it or not, for a lot of their functionality. It's actually, Dropbox is basically a WebDev implementation in the cloud. So it works the same as pretty much as WebDev would work in terms of our context. That's how you can actually save to Dropbox from an iPad or something like that at the moment.